What's going on, guys? It's your boy Dre the Reaper. And guys, I'm here with the extraordinary gents, and we're here at the guys' table, guys. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you guys for setting aside time. We're about to dive into a very delicious, interesting. God, we know we what you want to hear, and we're going to talk about it. But we're going to talk about things that's basically hot right now. So, guys, let's introduce ourselves. Let's give the people some insights of who we are. And guys, like I said, Dr. Dre, the Reaper, the fitness trainer in Houston, Texas, here live.
Yo, what's going on, people? This is Mr. Impact. Once again, I'm glad to be here with everybody. It's always a great time coming in and, chopping it up with these gentlemen. So let's get to it. What you got, bro?
What's happening, all my fit folks, all my beautiful folks? I greatly appreciate y'all being here. It is Rotastic here on TikTok. You could be able to go ahead and find me over there. And I do want to say I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in, blessing us with y'all presence. Because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for y'all, there wouldn't necessarily be us. So we definitely want to make sure we continuously deliver some great information and just some entertaining things that you all could take with you for the rest of your life, right? So greatly appreciate y'all. Much love for rocking out.
Yeah, guys, and like I said, once again, we're here and we're going to deliver a good podcast today, guys. And we want to tell you guys, we want you guys to stay to the end of the podcast because listen, we're going to give you guys some quick tips. We're going to talk about quick little nutrition tips just to give you guys some quick keynotes that you guys don't really hear on the regular. So, just stay tuned towards the end for that. And like I said, Kish, bring it in, baby.
So I got a question for you guys, and I'm curious because obviously I'm the
Oh boy.
oldest one in the group. And I'm
It's
curious
going
if
to be
you
good.
guys are experiencing any changes in your body, changes in your facial hair. What are you when you look in the mirror? What are you seeing? Is there something that you look at that you're like, man, it once was a certain way, but now it's not? I know for me, I start seeing these grays pop up, and it gives me concern. Obviously, the alternative was suck,
You
so thank
use
God
just for
I'm
men, bro?
huh?
You use
I Let me tell you something. I do use
okay,
it.
okay, okay. How does it
Every now and
work?
then I'll use it. And what's crazy is that you could take the product and you mix it together. So it's this little cream that you mix together that you combine, and then you put it on, and then it gets rid of the grays and
Wow.
takes care of the grays for you. What's interesting about that product though is that um, I wish I would have found it when I was younger, like you guys, or even younger, because there was times when I was trying to bring in this goatee or the beard, and I had patches that it really does cover, and it's just it it helps with the confidence because sometimes you're young and you're just trying to be the man or pretend to be the man that you want to be. You know what I mean? And that women always think that it's just them that struggle with their appearance, but guys are struggling with we're struggling with our appearance as well, and what we, how we want to present as a person. So sometimes
No,
I use it and
100%.
sometimes I go with the grays and leave the grays out there because I'm not ashamed of my grays. I earned those things. So it depends on how I feel. Depends on what I'm trying to present, to the public. So, what about you guys? Anything that
I
is out there
mean,
that's concerning you?
I definitely do feel like you do have to, trick yourself into a new way
Are
of
we gonna
thinking.
plug that? Are we gonna plug that just for men? Are we gonna plug that? No, no. Hey, Kish, we need to find out how we could get like monetary from that there. Just for men. Go ahead, bro. Sorry, we gotta
Well,
plug that.
I will definitely say like you do definitely have to um you do need to take care of it. Like for instance, right? When you start thinking about performance level, like your attributes on how you move and things of that nature, like I think that's even a big factor. Like I think there was a point in my life when I realized how alcohol it's such a detrimental to me that I was like, wow, like just the fact that it hindered my performance level. You know what I'm saying? You get to a point where you're just like, nah, man, this isn't conducive to where I'm trying to go. In any way, form, or shape. Like this momentary pleasure is not doing me no good. Whether if it's my body, my ability to perform with the ladies, your energy level the next day, it's just not good. So I think, so yeah, I think, being mindful of what are some of the things that is hindering your performance level, um, as a man, especially as a man, more so than ever, because we're the ones who are always putting in that work. If y'all know what I'm talking about, fellas, the ladies, they just gotta
Yeah.
show up. They just gotta show up. They just gotta show up and
That you have control over, like putting alcohol in your system. But what about like anything that you don't have control over, like the gray hairs? Or like, is there anything that's affecting your body that as you're coming along and as you're getting older, we all get older, that you're seeing that, that affects you? Like for me, my forehead I didn't have as much forehead back in the day as I do now. The hairline tends to want to like push back a little bit.
This thing is
And
going
I'm
back,
hoping
bro.
thank God when I was younger. Thank God when I was younger, like I would cut my hair and then sometimes I would mess up and then I would have to bald it. So then I got used to being bald as a young guy. So now as an older
Let's talk
guy,
about that
if
a
I
little
bald
bit.
it off,
Let's talk about
yeah.
that a little bit, Kish, real fast. Like, how would you recommend someone to bald their hair if they mess up cutting it themselves? What would be the recommend clippers and the technique? Do you go with the grain, against the grain if you're trying to bald your hair? If you're in the bathroom and you're trying to cut your hair and you mess up, like what would you recommend them and how would you recommend them to bald it?
Depends on, it depends on how like it depends on how your hair is. So if your hair is very, you have a lot of hair and it's vibrant, there's two clippers. You have the taper and then you have the all-purpose clipper that you're able to take off a lot more quantity, a lot easier with that clipper. And if you didn't go too low, let's say you didn't go too low with it, you can use the all-purpose clipper. Just take it all off. You could go backwards. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take it down, a little bit more if you go against the grain. If you go towards the grain, it's going to take it down less. It depends on how deep you went in when you messed up, to be able to get it one uniform consistency. So, but there's nothing to me. I learned there's nothing to be ashamed of, with taking down your hair, especially since, a lot of you guys seem to work out and take care of your body. For a long time, that bald look was in. It may be still in. I don't keep up on trends like that, but I think it's class. I think it's timeless personally. What I'm saying, to be able to bald your head. Jordan, I think Jordan was one of the big ones that brought it in, and Kareem may have been one of them as well. But now you see, for black men, that's a well, maybe not just black men. I think for
Yeah, I
all
can say
I
I
men,
don't.
see white
it's a
men
look.
too.
It's
Hey,
a
kids,
look.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I think like, when we're talking about like society norms, like, think about it. Why else do people hold on to things if it's not as precious? It gives us something to think about because even myself, I'm like, man, if I've seen something like this transpiring for quite some time, like, why am I still holding on to this thing? Why didn't I just fester up the courage to just like, man, let me just go ahead and do a zero and pull the trigger?
But I think it is precious. I think it is precious because I think for a lot of people, it signifies their youth, their vitality. Funny enough, that I was just looking at my
No,
son, my
but hey,
15-year-old
that's what I'm saying. It's not
yesterday.
like you're contradicting.
No, I'm not contradicting myself. What I'm saying is that I could see why people hold on to it, right? But then I'm also saying that if you are if you are changing, your body's changing, learn that it's okay. That's what I'm saying. Because I looked at my son yesterday, and my 15-year-old, and he's coming into his facial features, and his hair is dark, his eyebrows are dark and thick. You know what I'm saying? And he's getting a little bit of beard right here, and a little bit of mustache right here, and a little bit of beard right here. And I'm like, I could see, a young man in him, like right now, and who doesn't want that? Who
Bro,
doesn't
you
want you?
said yesterday? I've been seeing that. Even when you guys came here, I was like, Kingston's turned into a man. Like you could see it, and he's aging fast because of his parents too. Like being around parents like you guys, like you're gonna age fast. Like your maturity is gonna take on a little bit faster. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being around super playful people and people your age range, right? I tend to think people tend to hold on to their profile a little bit. They put too much emphasis on holding on to their profile because that's what you're used to seeing. The moment Mario lose all his muscle, he's gonna he's gonna look in the mirror and say, "Who is this?" Like he's gonna go through such a mind shift. He might get depressed. He might get ultra violent. Like because that's your profile. You're so used to seeing this profile. And that's what it is. So I agree with you, Kish. You got a tendency to like look at yourself, even in your kids, and see like, wow, that's my kid. You can see how he's maturing. But then as an individual, you're looking at yourself in the mirror daily and you're so accustomed to that profile. And then it's like once it starts shifting, you're like, who's this? That's why anytime somebody done put on 20, 30 pounds and they're like, oh, man, 2 years went by and I'm looking back at myself and I'm like, I think I had a client. She said, she said, Dre, I walked past the mirror one day and I just stopped and I looked. My face just looks, and I couldn't even recognize who I was. And I'm like, you didn't look at yourself every day? You know what I'm saying? And it's like you'd be surprised. It's you'd be surprised because sometimes it's the angle and is the time of the day and it's your mindset.
Yeah,
It's probably even what you just watch or who you don't talk to. It's shifting these mindsets. So when you look at yourself, you're always in this one dimensional profile. So I get it, Kish. You're always kind of like sticking to a profile. And then, Mario, when you said, like he's being contradicted, it's like he's trying to say as you mature, things start shifting. And you can't help but to realize it. And then it's like, how do you approach it? Do you approach it like, do you go with it or you still try to hold on to it? You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
100%.
it's like a catch
100%.
22.
People,
Yeah.
people, people tend to appreciate the bold. You know what I mean? So as your body is changing and your body's aging, the people who just cut it off, they go, I just got rid of it because it
You're
didn't.
talking about your hair, right?
I
Cutting off your ball.
just say like,
Okay.
yeah, like let's say your hair, like if you got rid of it, it's like saying that
Mm,
like, I just got rid of it because I didn't like how it looked anymore. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And they kind of appreciate that instead of the person that holds on. You see some guys, they might have a bald spot back here, and then, let's say their hair is still long too. It's not even like it's really low to like kind of, I guess, blend in a little bit more. It's
mm,
still long, and
mm,
then they're like, people are like, just let go. Or sometimes sometimes as you age, guys that get it where it comes back
mm,
here, and
mm,
come around, and they're like,
mm,
just let it go,
mm, mm,
go bald,
100%.
mm,
And this is where it kind of festered too, because when I was looking at it, and I was like, man, I also seen someone in the same position, a dark skinned guy, and I'm like, man, in the management position and all, and I'm just like, dude, just let it go, man. And as I'm saying that, I'm just like, okay, this is a reflection for self, because as a man, it's just like, dude, what we gonna do? Try to cover it up like women? We can't put a wig on. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like, You gotta embrace it. Like y'all, a
There
lot
are
of people
wigs.
embrace.
Mhm.
What you said?
There are wigs, but I hear what you're saying. Go
Meaning,
ahead.
like
Sorry.
going to the extent to where you're trying to go get laser treatments. Like I know all it like laser treatments. All of these other things.
Mhm.
So it's just like, nah, man,
Dude,
just
dude.
embrace.
As I age, I realize this thing's changing. Like I'm getting a little gray in my beard, bro, and it's just one string. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's like one string, bro, and I'm just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I got one string hanging, right? I never been caught up on the whole facial kiss thing, because we were talking earlier on this pod, we were talking about like it being connected and using just for men. I was never caught
Yeah.
up on that. There was a small little pivot time in my life. I think I was like 12 or something like that. Then I was just like, oh man, I can't wait to get the whole grizzly and the chin strap and the whole, but I think it was like a small little glimpse, and I was just like, that'd be cool, right? But as I mature, I realize facial hair doesn't really do you much justice, especially when you're in the eyes of people all the time. Because I think it's just a automatically distraction for certain people, and then you always got to stay so groomed. Having a lot of facial hair, you always got to stay groomed. And being in a professional setting, when I was a manager at LA Fitness, like I realized that all this had to go. Like this had to go. This it was like brush cut. And I was just like, man, I felt naked. So when I walked in, I was
Wow.
like everything just felt weird. I felt a cold, chill breeze blowing on my chin. When I walk into people, my confidence wasn't there. So going back to what Kish said, it's like a confident thing. Like I was just like, this does not feel like you don't even feel like talking no more. You're like, oh man, I don't know. Like it just
So
the
they did not
com
want you to wear any facial hair?
oh yeah. Oh, quick backstory. When I went for become a manager at LA Fitness, I was talking to the vice president. He's the one that did the interview. And it was like, after he finished making me watch Eric Thompson, I think it was Eric Thompson. Yeah, right, right. Um, I don't know if you know Kish, who's Eric Thompson. Is one of those great speakers. He go around and he speaks, a motivational speaker.
Hmm.
And he made me listen to like a 5 minute clip of Eric Thompson. I said, cool.
Hmm.
And this is during an interview, And I'm like,
Okay.
okay. Now, remind you, this is the vice president of LA Fitness. And I'm like, okay, if, it's an African American man making me watch Eric Thompson, he going to take 5 minutes of me and watch this video. Cool, great. Finish watching the video. I'm like, yeah, man, that's my guy. We were talking. Then he was like, yeah. He said, I need you to get rid of your facial hair.
Oh,
I
wow.
need you to cut off that mohawk. Brush cut.
Wow.
Like, bro. And I was like, okay, you know, because I'm not afraid of change. But man, was I not feeling so confident? Like it really it took I felt like a naked baby without a diaper on. Like I just felt like when because you're so accustomed
Yeah.
to the profile. It's like I cut my beard. I cut everything. This thing was clean. This thing was
Oh, wow.
clean. And I'm trying to walk and talk to clients and it's just a certain confidence that was just there. Like a piece of me just felt like, I felt cold. Like I said, I just felt off. My words wasn't flowing like I was. So that was one of the things that just that being changed over time helped me like, understand that like you just don't need you know, a facial hair to be in a professional setting and stuff like that. So you're holding on to things that doesn't really hold value, if that makes real
Serves
sense.
Mm.
purpose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because then
Um,
it's Mhm.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I was gonna just say it kind of keeps you looking youthful too. When you're you don't have much mustache and all that good stuff. It keeps you looking youthful, and that's typically what they would want.
So from my experience, right, I I kind of have a different view on it. From my experience, when a man is young, you need your facial hair because it makes you look older. You know, you're trying to be attracted to the opposite sex, and women tend to, when you look young, like I mean, you're young. You could tell by looking in your face that you're young. Your facial hair helps to to hide the baby face. You know what I mean? And then I realized that when men get older, then they remove the facial hair to try to look more youthful. You know what I mean? So it's that thing. So, but shocking to me that LA Fitness wanted you to not have any facial hair, different from coming from the angle of having, you know, a groomed look, right? Because like even how your facial hair is right now, I would say, Dre, I would say, you know, maybe you could take a little bit off of it, but as long as the sides are clean and it looks, you know, groomed, I don't see anything wrong with your facial hair or the hair on top either. You know what I mean? You kind of have like this was it is it which one is Blade? Is it Wesley Snipes?
Yeah, Wesley Snipes. Got him on my
Yeah,
wall.
Blade. So
Yeah.
he has like you kind of have that Wesley Snipes type look, you know, where
Mm,
it's just how your hair grows and it is what it is, you know.
yeah.
Um, but I'm shocked to hear that they would want you to take off all, you know, your facial hair. But I do think, like I said, you know, if it's okay if your hair is going, you know, to embrace the bald look. You wouldn't be the first to do it. You wouldn't be the first to do it, and most men try to hold on for as long as they can, you know. But it's not gonna. You know, you always want to have something. You always want to try to have something
Hmm.
that you think makes you an exception, and it is what it is. You know, you guys are very fit, and your business is in fitness. So at the end of the day, like if you shave your head, you know what I'm saying, you still are in great shape. I'm not saying that's all that makes you, you know, because you guys also have great personalities. So it's like, you know, as human beings, we want to feel like there's something that we could put forward, you know, to that helps us to appeal to other people, you know. So
You are what you attract.
what?
Success is
That's like
something.
Confucius.
Hold on,
Hey,
hold on,
he
hold on,
dropped the note like it's
hold on,
something special, bro. Like,
hold on, hold
hey,
on, hold
Kish, hey, Kish,
What?
Hey, check this out.
hey, there's a big pause. Like he's about to, oh, like, whoa,
Success,
like,
Oh,
success is
say it
something.
like that.
Hold on, real quick, real quick. Success is something you
What?
attract by being attractive.
What? You dropped the mic too?
So, if success is something you attract by being attractive, what does that mean? One needs to become attractive by
so,
embracing being self-aware and embracing. So, like, understand your shortcomings and just embrace your pros, you know, and embrace it and be confident.
I I'm not gonna say I agree with that, but different people, different people, different people. I'm not gonna
I
co-sign.
beg to
my
I'm not
differ.
gonna
God,
co-sign what
bro.
you say. I'm gonna word it my own way. I'm not gonna co-sign what you say. I'm gonna word it my own way. Different use different things to be attractive, right? Some people it's their physical, some people it's their mental. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you, like if you're able to tie in multiple factors, you know, where you stay in shape, you take care of your body, and you know, even if you're losing your hair, you know, I think it pronounces it when you're losing it, and then you get make it longer, you know, instead of like making it tie in a little bit better by leaving it shorter if you're losing it, or even take it all off altogether,
Yeah, I think you
you
probably
know.
got what I'm saying misconstrued because all I was, I no, I'm listen. I'm not by any means saying that we don't. You do need to be well rounded. which is the reason why you have women out here talking about, oh, they're a sapiosexual. Like, think about that, fellas. Y'all know what that is?
Let's not go there. Let's just stay. I don't even need to know what it is. Let's just keep on staying on the same topic. Go ahead. I don't even need. You
I
know
want to
how
know. I want to know. I want to
Right?
know.
Right? Like, it's just someone. It's just
That
it's
is
a lady.
crazy.
It's a lady that likes to be stimulated to a certain level intellectually. You know, so that what drives her. That's what gets her going. That's what gets her wet. That's what gets her, off the hinges.
crazy. Like,
No,
really?
I'm telling. This is a true
Mm-hmm.
thing. Look it up, sapiosexual. But what I was just trying to say is that I'm not saying you do
Isn't
need to
that
be worked out.
everybody though, bro?
Come on, come on. But hey, there's
Everybody.
terms. Now we got terms. We got different. You see what
Terms
I'm
for
saying?
everything.
Oh, but when you say that, isn't that everybody is like, oh well, do everybody not know what something good looks like? Like that's kind of you. So okay,
Everybody
so
turns
if that is
into
hold
different.
on, real quick. So if that is the case, then bro, if that's the case, then the statement that I made, like, if we're saying that something that you attract is success is something you attract by being attractive, then it's like generally we can all see when something's attractive, you know. Rather or it could be like, okay, someone's a handsome person, a handsome male, or a woman's a cute lady. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we can identify that. Just not being on the oh man, you you you're like we know what generally looks good or appealing.
See that there's a general standard of attraction, but the masses attraction can be subjective. But there is a general standard of attraction, I guess, you know. But a
So,
beautiful
so
woman that the
ultimately,
world thinks is beautiful can also be attracted to a man that the world thinks is not attractive. So so clearly she finds some attraction in him. You get what I'm saying?
so it's like being able to ultimately put yourself in a better position. So even though we all have shortcomings, all right, being able to embody and perfect our pros, our strengths, double
Yes,
down on
everybody
those,
has shortcomings.
double
Yes,
down on those things. So, mm, mm.
yeah.
Just
Everybody has
like,
shortcomings, and then if you can accentuate, your pros, your positives, that's great. And that's
so
basically
just
what we're
like,
saying is that like if your hair is now a shortcoming, you know, well, we could get rid of that shortcoming and accentuate other things because it is what it is. Sometimes I rock a baldy, and sometimes I rock a low.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, it
yeah. I
hasn't
see you
gone
cut it off sometimes. I see you ball it sometimes, and I'm like,
that.
it works, you know.
yeah.
Listen, dude, I remember balling my head one time, and I think it's the worst thing I could have did. What happened? Yeah,
Audio.
your audio, Kish.
Really? How am I sounding now?
You're good now.
Yeah, so usually when I take Popeye,
There you go. You're good now.
I leave some on the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What you said?
you said that I balled it before and then it worked.
No, it was the worst thing. Yeah, it was the worst thing ever.
Worst thing ever for you?
Yeah, because
You got any
my hair
pictures?
never. No, I don't have any pictures. But my hair never grew back the same. It never grew back the same.
Wow.
Yeah, so
You
that's why I was
lost
at.
it for long again.
No, that's why I was asking you earlier, like, how do you recommend balding your hair? Because I use a regular, a regular handheld, shaver, like,
Clippers? Yeah.
non-powered, no nothing, regular hand-held shaver. And I used that,
Oh,
and that was the worst thing ever because that goes deep. That goes straight to the skin, like. And when you ball your hair like that, you could end up killing some of your hair follicles. And I didn't learn this until my mom told me, because she's a cosmetologist. So she told me about like it's a way and it's a technique and be mindful of how you cutting it because sometimes you could kill it by cutting it too low. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I had to learn the hard way, but I got it. So,
typically black male, like because of our hair follicles and because they grow,
voice.
yeah, they have like a kink to it, and it coils a lot easier, um, and it has trouble pushing up above the skin. When you cut it, when you cut it real low, um, it struggles to get back out, And those handheld shavers, they tend to do that, cut it really, really close to the skin, if not under the skin. But the mechanical ones, the clippers, they tend to cut it at the height that is, is acceptable, that it can it
I
can
don't know
grow
if you
back.
guys even see it now. Like you guys been to the barber shop recently, but they have these new clippers. It's like rolls. I don't know if it's new, but you're seeing them, and those depends on how close they push it to your skin. Like sometimes it would leave back some bumps, and I'm like, I remember one time, I was up north, and this guy, he barely speak English, and I never used it before. So it's when he was using it on me, he was cleaning up my edges, and because I like to go zero or one and a half or half around, but he just cleaned up real clean, and but man, when that thing was growing back. Man, I caught like bumps all in back, and I don't get bumps. So it's like when I caught bumps all in the back of my neck, I was like, "Whoa, dude!" You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, "What is this?" And then next time I went, I was like, "Man, listen, we're not using that again, man. Like because it cut it way too
Yeah,
low." And I'm so grateful that nothing ever happened ever since. But it's like you got to be mindful. So when you see those people are using those real like the rollers and they and it cleans you zero you out, just tell them, hey, just use the regular shaver. Don't use that because it gets down deep. Especially when they like constantly running it back to back. It's just like, yo,
yeah,
one or two time and move on, man. Like you know what I'm saying? I don't even care if it looks slightly like off a little bit, but just don't sit there and just try to. Nah, not
yeah.
needed.
You don't really. It's not easy to tell the difference between when it's zeroed out or like when it's a little bit above the skin. It still looks very similar. You know
Yeah,
what
it
I'm
looks
saying? It's
very
hard to
smooth.
be like,
Go ahead.
oh.
You probably gonna have to get one of those hardwire like things you can plug into your phone.
I wonder if that thing needs some
the
charge. That thing say,
it's
listen,
hardwired and it's been charging. So, but you guys go ahead and continue. I'm still here.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely one
Nah,
of those.
but bro, what do you got think? What you got to say to the youth that's coming up and you know they're around the age of 15 to 18 and they're trying to keep up a certain like look, like far as like the dreads or you know the non-brushing the hair type stuff and sagging the pants. What you got to tell those? What you got to tell those youths right now?
um,
Like what they need to do differently because I don't think they understand how it's carry on into their later lives.
no, 100%. What they used to consider cool. I'm glad I, I actually was being different is good to be different. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? I kind of understood early on, like you do what everybody else do, you get what everybody else get, and especially in a world where everyone is easily influenced, that's when you really got to be really skeptical and know how to maneuver, because you'll mess around and think like, damn, I'm not cool because majority of everybody else doing this goofy shit, but yet in all actuality, you don't realize that you're setting yourself up for years of, potential opportunities. Um, and that's the biggest thing. You don't want to hinder yourself before you even start the game of life. So what I would tell these young folks, man, is take heed to like learning things, learning skill sets, learning how to be able to speak, being able to connect with people, guys and gals, building up friendship, networking.
Bro,
Um,
I told Jaheim straight up. I said, bro, you need to hang around the nerds in college. I said, bro, like you're going off into college and yeah, you play football. Yeah, like it's so easily to be swayed, being the fact of like from the photos, like I'm not gonna say like I know his girl personally, but I'm like, bro, from the photos, I could tell your girl ain't like one of them like, high class kind of person, and I could be wrong, and if she see this podcast, I do like just want to give my caveat to that. Like I'm just judging from just photos, right? And that's just the way I
Parents.
am. Yeah, yeah,
right.
just from simple appearance. And I don't know personally, but I'm saying like when you because I see how bro, bring himself, and when he walks into the room, he's very, like shallow about it. He doesn't walk in the room super confident, and he
Would you
has
say
dreads
shy?
now.
You're saying
I would say
shy.
shy. I would say shy, not knowing his authority, and I think that comes with a little bit of not knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying, and not holding yourself up to the man that you're potentially becoming. And I think that comes with a lot of uncertainty. Like you're not sure because you don't even know the like the person that you're changing and morphing into is that you're trying to emulate someone else's personality, and you yourself are in search of like, okay, how do I walk and carry myself and present myself, because you're so used to seeing this person in this atmosphere. So for example, if you see someone that you're like, emulating, right? And they're in a setting of like, say a rap video, and they're in a rap video and they're simulating their stuff around the club, vibing, hanging out with their boys. But then when you get into a room of like casual people, business people, people are just, you don't know how to carry yourself because that's not what you saw, right? And that's not what you're trying to emulate. So that's why I feel I told him personally, I said, bro, you need to hang around some nerds, because not only that's going to shift the characteristics that you're hanging around with, is also going to build your characteristics. It's going to open up more opportunities of understanding that there's not just one dimension of how to build your appearance. There's so many different ways. That's why you said earlier, bro, you was just like, you do what other people are doing, then you're gonna get the same results. But it's like, if you're not pursuing rapping, don't emulate a rapper. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I could be wrong, but is your spouse also plays a big part of that. The people around you plays a big part of that. Who you hanging around with play a big part of you. Because when I was younger, around that age range, 15 to 18, of course, the people who I was surrounded with is not the people who I'm surrounded with today.
Mhm.
So that has a lot of impact to do with the younger youth. And that's why I said, like, for me, talking to a younger youth now, I'll be like, I get it. The first thing I say to them, I get it.
100%. 100%.
Can,
Because when it's like,
can you take the person that you wanna you inspire to be, or even like, on this social media platform, whatever, can you take that personality and bring it over here? And they be like, I can't really bring my sagging pants in front of my mom. My mom isn't accepting that. I gotta put my pants up when I get around with my mom. Or man, I can't really wear the dreads in my conference meeting at church. I gotta make sure it's all done up. So it's like, you get where I'm coming from? It's like
Mhm.
certain times we try to portray a certain characteristics that's is not conducive for the certain environments. You
Because you know
know,
what tends to happen too is that you got folks that are like, hey, it's okay. Like they got this whole movement about accepting a lot of the different things. And my thing is this: like, people don't want to talk about the things that's unsaid. How people will judge you just predicated off of just how you carry yourself. That'll determine if they'll even want to open the opportunity to you or open up their network of individuals to you or not.
right?
And so it's like
You
it's
said it
definitely
earlier, bro. You said it earlier. You was like, "Yo, I gotta go into a corporate space," and you said you gonna shave your head.
yeah. I'm gonna listen. This is what it takes. It's just like going into a higher when you're seeking to go into higher heights and you're realizing like, man, just like if you're talking about like cursing or anything of that nature, you're realizing like, okay, as you propel love, you got to be able to mitigate certain things. Like that's just what it is. In order to do so, you have to mitigate certain things, and then you got to be self-aware, and play to your strengths and work on your shortcomings. But is
But would you say at that age you know your shortcoming? Would you say between the age 15 and 18? Because it's a very pivotal age. Do you
mhm.
agree, Kish? The age 15 to 18 is a very pivotal age for a young man when they're coming up to understand that what is your shortcoming.
So, you said that your brother, you said it already that, based on what I see in the young lady that he's dating, I don't think that her character may be of value or of stock just from seeing her appearance. So that says it loudly. You know what I'm saying? That in just looking at her appearance, you're making a judgment. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying it's human that people make judgment on how you present yourself. You know what I mean? And so um I agree that like he should present himself in a certain manner because that's what people are going to start judging him, just based on how he presents himself. How were you raised? If you're sagging your pants, is this person a good character? It shouldn't be, but it is. It's what it is. And so you're that is important. And as his older brother, if you just got to continue sending that message that like, if you don't want to present yourself like this in front of mom, then you shouldn't present yourself like this in front of the world because the world is going to judge you. What mom does is going to be even less than what the world is going to do to you because mom loves you and mom cares about you. So the world, they'll judge you and won't even tell you, you know, but they'll close doors and there'll be opportunities that are missed because they are judging you. They won't tell you that they are, but they are. So my boys, I want them to carry themselves a certain way because so that they're not targeted in society. And should they be targeted? No, but is society going to target them?
What do you mean by
Probably.
targeted?
No, as a young black male, just coming out the gate, you're viewed as something,
So is there
or
a
viewed
disadvantage
as
of being a black male? Would you say there's a disadvantage?
the world won't say that there is, but even black people judge black people negatively if they appear in a certain manner, right? So if you're gonna
Like
appear
what?
like if you're gonna appear like, your pants are sagging and it's like, you don't have much value, or somebody views that type of person as either they're going to rob them or they're dealing drugs, or because a lot of times that's what the music promotes, is that if your pants is sagging, you're um you have no problem with going to jail, and you sell drugs, or you're a menace to society, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what they're going to treat you as. So to me, like my boys, I don't want that for them. I don't want them if they get most people get stopped by the cops at some point, but I don't want the cops to then automatically judge them as some kind of menace before giving them even a shot. You know what I'm saying? And so people have a tendency of when they start judging somebody to treat them the way that they feel like they should be treated, and that's not right. You know, it doesn't mean that just because this person has dreads or his pants are sagging that he's up to no good. But a lot of times that's how society treats people. You know, so I instantly don't want my boys to be put in that category, whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't want my boys to be put in that category. You get what I'm saying?
So,
And I
so
can
what are
see how
some of
you
the
don't
things are
want
you
your
like
brother to be
instill?
put in that category.
So
I
what
can
are
see that you don't want your brother to be put in that category.
yeah? So what are some of the things that are you're instilling in their eyes of like characteristics? Because you do know like they are not like like kids are on social media more than adults are. Like it's evident,
Hmm.
right? They see a lot of things. And do you like put parameters around their viewership? Like, do you understand like what they're viewing? Like, do you say, hey, do you have parent control on those things? Are you saying, hey, I see you watching this, you know, this character or whatever it is, right? You're watching this, this is your favorite artist or this is your favorite player or whatever, but do you realize how it's impacting you? Like, do you guys talk about things like that, or how do you set up parameters? Or
We do have parental parameters on their social media and things like that, and things that they're able to watch on TV and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to get exposed to it. And so, you know, I just I'm hoping that they don't see me with my pants sagging. You know, maybe they're not trying to imitate
it's gonna be
me
a
right
tired day.
now.
It's gonna be a tired day.
Yeah,
And kids gonna be like,
maybe
"I'm
not.
sorry, I'm from Lauderhill." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not trying to imitate me right now. But as they get older, hopefully they'll grow and then do that. But I do. But you said between 15 and 18. I do think that you're impressionable as a young person, and I do. When I was that age, I was trying to find who I am, and over time, I did. I found a lot of. Believe
But
it or not, I found a lot. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
Over time, like a lot of stuff that I never wanted. I never. Sometimes you see on TV they portray like like I said, the dreads and the sagging pants as negativity. Maybe now in society it's a little bit different, but it was as negativity, and I never wanted to be that person. That society was looking at negatively at that age. Now I'm older, and I realize I made the right choice. I guess you know, 'cause I've never been incarcerated. I never, things like that. That makes it difficult for your life. It doesn't mean that a person that's been incarcerated is either a bad person or not good for society, but it does make your life extremely more difficult.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I think considering the fact right now, especially in society, it's like a upside down society to where, good is bad and bad is good. In the viewership of how the landscape of things are, like they'll consider like the sagging of the pants and the dreads and all these different things to be cool, you know. Um, and all actuality is like you're just setting yourself up for failure ultimately, or let's say not being able to know how to conduct yourself in a routine stop. Little things like, hey, put all the windows down, cut the music down, put the lights on, have your stuff, put your hands
Hmm.
out if you need be. You know what I'm saying? To kind of go ahead and alleviate the person who's actually doing the stop. Alleviate them from having to be
The
like,
stress
yo,
of the person.
Yeah, alleviate the officer from having to be able to be like, yo, I don't know what's going on here. Let me go ahead and add some additional force. But it's like it's all about being aware of these things. So you can better position yourself out here in the world.
And you can't watch. And sorry to say this in society, but you can't watch a white person get stopped by the cops and then think that, and they might do something that's flamboyant, and nothing comes out of it. And as a black person, think that you're going to get stopped and do the same flamboyancy, and nothing is going to come out of it. We are not living in the same world of
I've
that.
per-
It's just not.
I've I've
Just
personally
not.
seen this happen. Like, dude, he was like, dude.
Personally experienced it.
No, in a sense, so I was next to a Caucasian guy, and he was like, dude, watch this. Cop pulling over. He's like, yo, what's up? I'm just like, wow. Talking to the cop that way, like, what's up, man? Come on, hurry up, man. Here's my stuff. I'm just like, but this is
Yeah.
the level of audacity, the level of
It's two different. It's two different experiences.
I always
I've asked
say,
the
I
cop.
always say it. Go ahead, Kish.
I've asked the cop what's his probable cause for stopping me, and he says that I'm disrespecting his authority. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's a standard question that you can ask a police officer. What's your probable cause for stopping me? Because there should be probable cause when they stop
There's
you.
a reason.
You
Yep.
know. Yep.
And
So
believe it or not, you can refuse and you can
refuse what?
have someone. You can refuse to like talk with them. Like that. That's a law. People don't understand their rights because like sometimes you get pulled over, right? But if you feel like the officer is like probably say something wrong or is just not conducting the pullover correctly, you can say, hey, I refuse. I want to see the chief. I want to speak to the higher up because people do have rights. They just don't know. They don't know their amendments, right? So a lot of people start thinking, oh, it's okay to I get pulled over. I need to follow. No, they like Kish say, you have to have probable cause. You have to have a reason. You have to tell me the reason why you're pulling me over. And you know what I'm saying? Did I break a law? Did I do something? If they say no, and they're like, just give me a license, you're like, no, I'm not. You know what I'm
But I
saying?
think that I don't want us to promote. I don't want us to promote or even get into detail of what other people should do when they're pulled over from with an officer, because
We're not telling what other people need to
we are
do.
not well versed. I'm just saying
We're
though, we're not versed in
We're
that in the law
advertising
like
for
that.
people who understand. Well, I understand my amendments, and that's why I try to say, like, you have rights, and people need to understand that you need to review your rights. Don't just go out here in the world and think that you don't have rights. You have a lot of rights. You be surprised how much rights you have, and that's why a lot of people don't educate themselves. You need to educate yourself. Okay, I'm advocating for people who educate themselves before they go out there and just say, "Oh yeah, I heard this podcast and this I have all rights to not wind the window down." No, I'm speaking for the
Hmm.
people who educate themselves and understand that in this amendment you have this right. So it's like that's what I'm trying to say. And just to go back to what you were saying about like the whole, understanding how to parent your kid and how to like put parameters around your kid and understanding that you don't want it to be in society and not get ridiculed, right? This is my thing. Do you feel to yourself, and Kish, this is to you, right? Do you feel to yourself that by you putting so much parameters or you know kind of like shunning, or not even shunning, kind of like blocking the kids into not the stereotype, but try to keep them away from the certain stereotypes, do you feel like they're going to get to a point in time in life that they're going to feel like I've been restricted so much, now I want to, expand?
I'll say this. I teach my boys everything that I can of how society is. Now, if you decide when you become a man that you want to go out there and explore and handle society in your own way and your own fashion, do that at your own risk, right? I am not the type to be like, hey, when you become a man, like, will I come bail you out of prison,
Ain't gonna
out of jail? I
You're
don't
not gonna
know.
co-sign it.
I honestly don't know. What did you do? You know what I'm saying? And if we looking back and see dad said
You
do
just
this and then you did something opposite, well now you take that up on yourself to, to explore in that area. So now you got to get
Mm,
yourself out of that. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? I love my boys, but
mm.
we all got to learn from our mistakes. You know what I mean? Some people want to say, "Oh, doesn't matter what my kid do. I'm gonna be there for my kid." And yeah, I'll say I'll be there verbally and try to help you to navigate your situation. But I don't see why I should then take on the burdens that you've decided to take on for yourself
It's so
as
funny because
an
what you're
adult.
saying right now is what I say now.
Mhm.
And Dre is only 2.5. And I said it. And I said, hey, listen, if Dre ever called me and said, Dad, this is this. And I said, what did you do? How did you go about it? You know what I'm saying? Because I know the morals I teach you. So it's like, if you're doing something out of those parameters, you're going to have to deal with it, you know? And a lot of times people, I don't know if it's the other generation, our generation before us, but they're like, oh, I need to go save my kid. Or I need to go do this for my kid. Or I need to go do this. And it's like you're not making them learn or understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you're cutting that off and they would never get it. So I do agree. I do agree. It's powerful to understand that, you know.
You need to learn from your own mistakes. You know,
Yeah. Very
and my
powerful.
kids, if my kids are doing stuff that I didn't teach them. You never see daddy arrested, so I mean, what you doing? You know what I mean? Were you disrespectful to the officer? You know what I'm saying? Like, the officer has authority over you in this world. And I'm not saying that they're right, wrong. I'm not saying that they're right, but I'm saying that that's their position. So you need to handle them very carefully. You don't want to be handling them like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to handle them
Just
very
like Mario
carefully.
friend. Just like Mario friend. Hey man, what do you want? Okay, okay, here you go.
Dude, I was
Yeah.
like,
Mario was like,
Some people look at
Sky.
me and say I'm like
oh,
I'm scared and I'm
hey,
this and I'm
hey,
that,
don't
but
in my
I'm
head,
aware.
I was like, no, 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 don't do that while I'm here. Do not do that while I am here. I am not going down. Listen, do not get amped up because I'm here. Cause if they started, hey, you get out the car because you're doing it, and if that's going down, hey, all right, y'all, like, y'all have a good one, and I'm going by my business because I'm not partaking in trying to say, hey, man, no, that's a good guy. No, 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 no. you
I'm
bit
very,
you.
I'm very. There's been a very few times, probably one time in my life, I felt like an officer was for me. One
he
time,
abuses rights. He abuses rights.
the officer.
Like like
No,
he
I'm
he he
saying when
he uses rights. Like he used his authority
it
over. Like
uses authority against
yeah,
me, against me.
right.
Yeah, there's only
Yeah.
one time in my life I've ever felt like the officer did, and I felt, I don't know if it was safe, but I felt like he was a pillar of the community, like he helped the community. Other than that, when they show up, I don't even want to be there. I don't want them around me. I'm not against cops. I'm just saying that, like, I've never felt safer when they're there, and that's
Mm.
sad. That's sad.
Because
You know what I'm saying? That's
they're not for the males. Like they're always for the women, and they always look. And then plus you're black, so it's like you're
yeah.
like I said, being, and people don't even understand. Like it's not like a racist thing because we're from a third world country. Like I don't think we even talk about racism in our family as much. You know what I'm saying, and
Third world
how
or
it would.
first world? Oh, you're saying originally from the country that we're from. Okay, I was like, man, where are we in America? You said third world. I was like, are we in America?
Like yeah, like we're aliens. Like this is not where we was born. Like, you know, so it's like we're from Jamaica. We're from a whole different. So I don't think racism was a big thing for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now the indigenous people that's here, the natives, they're like, wait a minute, racism is huge, and they understand the history of it. And I try to tell people like, I can't take things like, you know, when somebody would say and call me like, I never got it, but I'm like, sometimes when I hear people talking about it and they say the N word, and I'm like, okay, like they're like, no, they're not supposed to be talking like that.
It's a
I was
big
like,
deal.
"Yeah, massive deal, bro," and I'm like, okay. You know, and I try to agree and try to be okay with it because I'm like, I don't really get that. You know, I kind of get like the whole principles and I live by this. You respect people, you treat people with respect, and that's it. That's how life should be. They're like, no, you know, there's a privilege in this country, and those people that's privileged and those people that's not privileged, you know, you're the lower class, you're called this, and you know, they'll bottom feed you, and the people that's upper class are usually Caucasian, and people that's privileged, and they go in this whole spin, and it's like you would see people like fair skinned or black that has the hard time to be able to negotiate with officers or whatever, right? Authority. But you see the easy part of Caucasian people that would just they ain't any better than you, but they would like I said, Mario guy saying, "Hey, here my ID, man. You know, get on." You know what I'm saying? But they would
Mm-hmm.
take the African American as, "Oh, you know, we're gonna get you." And I don't know what the history is. I mean, I know partially the history,
You
but
know
I
the
don't.
history.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't. I know that because I took history class. You know what I'm saying? I know the history, but I'm like, I think people need to understand that, like you said, Kish, you asked the officer a pretty good question. You know, say, what's the probable cause of you pulling me over? He should just answer you right there and then. You know,
Hmm.
and people need to understand just how to speak, and that
He was
gonna carry you on.
insulted. He was insulted. You know,
What's what's what's
it's
his
just
badge
not.
number?
That's
What's his badge number? We're
what
gonna
I
put
was.
him on
That's what I was saying
here.
earlier. That's what I was saying earlier. It's that like if you don't know your rights fully, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and you're then trying to navigate how other people may navigate, and they might know just as much as you do, but they're
Mm,
able to navigate in a certain way because of the color of their skin. You know what I'm saying? You can get in trouble trying to play that role and you don't know what to say after that, you know? And he knows the law better than you do, you know. That's his employment, you know.
mm,
So sometimes you take on people in their realm and then you end up, getting screwed. You
No,
know, it's great when you see the video of a state attorney being wrongly accused by the cop and then he hands his ass to him, or a federal judge being, being wrongly accused. Those people, I mean, they create and make the law. They're part of the system. You know what I'm saying? They got friends and they know the law in and out. You know what I'm saying? But the regular Joe, you know, you every day you can just by the color of your skin could get in a lot of trouble.
mm-hmm.
You know,
You gotta
I
know.
try to avoid them at all costs.
Gotta gotta know the game in which we're playing. Hey,
I think people be
definitely.
putting these voices on too when they talk to authority. They voice change. It's like their character change. It's like I
That
said,
is true.
what?
Yeah,
That is
You
true.
know,
yeah.
it
It's no
trips me
different.
out.
It's no different from when you're on a, like, everyone has it. Like, if you've ever done a sales gig or a customer service gig or of any sort, working for a company, like, answering the phone lines is completely different from how you interact with your day to day people. Like, what? They were like, hold on. They were like, oh my God, you sound so well spoken. I didn't even think it was a black guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
imagine. Like,
It's
I'm
tough.
like, with a name like
That's
that,
tough.
Romario, oh my gosh, I got me a Spanish guy from Brazil or something. So it's Brazil,
Romario.
Romario. Oh,
Romario.
my friend. You know what I'm saying? But you're speaking so elegant. So it's there, yeah, man. But you see, part of that is like you got to know the game in which you're playing. If you don't have a switch, because you do need to be able to find a way to connect with your people. So I do think that is important to connect with your people, but also knowing how to be able to connect with other races.
I think a lot
And
of
speak their
kids
lingo.
are having issues of connecting. That's why I
That's what I'm
say
trying to
the
say.
age 15 and 18 is a very pivotal age because if you don't know how to connect, these kids don't know how to connect because one, social media is already brainwashing them, right?
Mhm.
Two, they don't go out a lot. You know what I'm saying? And these
100%.
and these
The
parents are
nature of
holding their
social media, the
and these
nature
parents are
of there being a social media.
yeah, and it's
They
not
don't
really
have to go
social.
out.
And it's not really
Yeah.
social. That's the sad part, and because you're not mixing with a lot of different crowd of people. You know what I'm saying? I wish, low key, I would try to say, man, like I wish low key, like when I first came to America, I was put in like a super Caucasian neighborhood. I kind of wish I did because I think today I'll be a complete different person. I ain't gonna lie. Like my perception on how I see things is so unique and different. And Kish, what age did you came here? When you was like, or
I came here when I
did
was
you when
7.
you was 7?
When I was
So do
7.
you remember? Do you remember the culture in Jamaica at all, or no?
I have an idea of the culture, but it's not, I don't view it as my culture as much. I'm not taken away from the Jamaican culture. I just didn't grow up around it as much. I have my family that are here and, we're within that culture, but as far as being able to expand on as the culture in Jamaica is growing, I was not there. You know what I mean? um it has changed since I was a kid. It has changed um tremendously. People speak differently now because just like the new generation, like you said, they have their own slang, so they speak differently now in Jamaica than they did when I was a kid. So even me, if I go back, like they're like, you're new. I could be thinking that I'm speaking patois, but then I'm not speaking the patois that they're speaking. So they know I'm not from
Yankee
here.
boy, man.
You know what I mean? They know I'm not from here. But you feel like you're speaking the way that they speak, but you're not.
I
You
said,
know.
no, boy,
So
fresh food, man. Fresh food.
it's
You
different.
it's so funny and so unique that it's a characteristics that we don't you don't strengthen the muscle, you lose it. Like even the
Yeah.
vocabulary, if you don't strengthen your vocabulary, you lose it. It's just what it is. I understand that if you was put into a different demographic at a very young age, it could alter your perception for the rest of your life. I saw what coming from, like I still remember what that was be brought up in that neighborhood in Jamaica. Like I remember all my friends. I remember it. Am I friends with them now? No, but I remember that. I remember the culture. I remember how Lauderhill was. I remember how going to Sunrise was. Like I remember these things. Like I don't know what it is, but my brain is very good at triggering those memories. And I said, if I had changed just that slight demographic of people from like me going straight from Jamaica to straight to Lauderhill, or, around black people and just coming straight from Jamaica going to straight to Caucasian, I think it would be a complete different person you see today. Honestly,
Do you
truly.
think?
Oh, I honestly, truly believe that. That's why I always try to
What
tell these kids
what age did you get here? Did you come here?
is around, I think I was converting over to eight, the age eight. I was converting over to the age eight.
Okay.
And the 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 mindset of transitioning from the island to here and then going into the seeing the same race but understand that the same race is different, it gave me an appreciation for it, but it also realized that how different I was. So it's like also too just knowing Caucasian people and just realize how different that was and how their perception of the race that I came to see and how they perceive that race. So it gave me a lot of information and a lot of data fast. These kids nowadays, they ain't getting that kind of data. They're not getting it. And they're selling themselves short. That's why I see some kids and they don't know how to even conversate. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so used to and so hardwired into just, oh, this is my little social media. You know what I'm saying? And this is what the world is like. And it's like, bro, go see what the Indians are talking about. Go see, what the Caucasian. Go see what the Muslim. Go. There's a whole different race. There's so many different races, bro. Like you're not gonna see that on social media because these people they're very segregated on social media. So you need to be able to go out and go expand and go talk to people. Community service is a big thing too. People sleep on community service. Go get kids involved in community service. Go get people involved in different kind of sports that's going to force them and make it a team sport because then now you have to conversate with your team. You have to be able to pull yourself out of that discomfort. And that is something that I say between the age 15 and 18 is so vital because they get so hardwired from the age like 9 to like 14 in their little boxing cubicles and stuff. Like they get so like hardwired and they're like, no, this is, and it's like, no, bro, there's so much more. That's why I always believe in people should adventure more because that builds up such a strong like mindset and it opens you up more to different opportunities and it makes your dude it create this like atmosphere of like you're not afraid of things because you don't experience a lot, so
Makes sense.
100%.
Bro, you got anything, or we gotta wrap this up? Because I know we could talk together
Yeah, I mean,
forever.
yeah, nah, to
When
put
we
a
get in
wrap
these
on
conversation, it's really cool.
it,
Go ahead, bro.
to
philosophical and shit.
put a wrap on it, man, it's just like, yeah, like not becoming one dimensional, man. And shoot, like I said, like I'm glad I did certain things coming up too that allowed me to really understand like team building, connecting with different people. Like I had interracial relationships when I was damn near in elementary. You know what I'm saying? So like I've always been able to sway
Gatsby.
Holding,
between.
holding hand on the
Gatsby.
playground.
Listen, and I had Caucasian
What was her
friends.
name? Gatsby or Gabriella or something like that?
Nah, it was what was it? Rachel. Oh, Rachel was one of my first ones. I think I dated a Gabby too. I had a Maria. So there's man, but to ultimately get to it is that had I not and Marie, the one, that's a different one. You know Marie, that one you
I,
know, but
I I know Marie. Marie
man,
was a catch. Marie was a catch. I think I dated
dude.
like 4 white girls. You know.
So my thing is just to say, like, you do need to kind of like if you don't know the lingo, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know the lingo to be in these particular rooms, it's like you're almost going to be an outcast. You got to be amongst these people and know what it is that their thought process is like, what gets them going, what they're intrigued by, what they're driven by, what make you stand out and add to this whole equation of you being here too. You have to be able to, you got to be around. And I think we limit ourselves because of our circumstances and our situations and who we're around because it's comfortable. But the moment we start extending ourselves out and we realize
Expanding.
like, we start realizing like, man, there's the only way to really get to higher heights is by putting yourself in those positions where these particular individuals are.
Bro, people shit on Christopher Columbus, bro, but I don't shit on that guy, bro. That guy said, going this way, and I'm just gonna navigate. And I feel like, bro, I'm like low key part of him, right? I'm like, yeah, I know the history about him and stuff like that. Yeah, he didn't discover shit. Yeah, I get it. But that was
Right.
one guy that said, hey, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna see what we find. You know what I'm saying?
On
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, bro.
on that
Nothing
note,
wrong with that.
on that note, I think that was a good thing. we're gonna go over here and see what we find. So, fellas, we're gonna wrap it up.
All right,
Dre,
so real fast, I just want to give you guys a quick healthy tip. Listen, if you guys start putting like veggies before your main meal, so say you have a dinner, and you're about to eat dinner, if you guys are looking to keep your microbiome healthy, you're looking to reduce adipose tissue. You don't want to be gluttonous towards the night. You don't want to have terrible sleep. I always try to tell my clients to incorporate a bowl, a salad bowl, or some kind of high veggie sustenance before their main meal. And that what that's going to do is going to satiate you. You're going to make sure your body digests that food a little bit faster, and the fiber itself is going to keep you a little bit fuller, so you don't overindulge in those high carbohydrates that keeps you up and keep that irregular sleep at night. So that's my healthy tip, you know. And guys, it's been a pleasure.
that's awesome. You guys have a
Take it
good one.
easy.
Love you guys. Later.
All
Much
right.
love, y'all. Take it easy.